we go. Let's see.
All right, there we are.
I'll do the intro and introduce you. It'll be good.
Okay. I feel so unprepared. Should I have like mood music playing or something?
Here we go. We good. We're about to be live.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to Alchemy 101, guys. This is Halo Marquise. It's been a while since we had a live show. I've been traveling all over the place through the cosmos, and along the way, I reconnected with the soul brother, Mr. Tariq Sabur, as I've recently dubbed the Ink Alchemist, because the man does incredible work, and I'm so happy to have him on the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And everyone that's in the channel tonight, we are doing a live video on Facebook. If you're listening on Artist First, this was a pre-recorded live broadcast. That we got a little bit of visuals, we got a little bit of green screening, and we've got my man's amazing artwork in the background. So if you guys are hearing us on Artist First, you can catch this on orderofalchemy.org, and we will have this broadcast live on our YouTube channel very soon. So Tariq, man, again, very welcome to join me, man. I appreciate you.
No, awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So you were recently out in Hawaii, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just gonna jump right in. Like, I don't really have a formalized version. I just like to talk with like-minded people or unso, and just see where the conversation, gets us. And it's fun, man. When I see you, I feel like we could be long lost family.
Yeah, I have that experience a lot with a few people, more people that I identify with like energetically than necessarily from like the same nationality or the same type of exoticism. It's just people that I connect with, and that makes me feel like there's definitely something to the concept of like incarnation. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's actually beautifully put, man. And so when you were out in the islands, which one were you at?
I was on Big Island. That's the island I usually go to. I've been actually working there for the past 2 to 3 years now. Almost about half the time. I found like really cool family out there that they really adopted me and brought me in. Yeah. And I found like all right, so 2 things I want to talk about. One is like major artistic and commercial success out there. Like I was doing so well that I could afford to fly back and forth and work there, kind of binge work there, and then come back without any loss. But what happened more so than that is that island is a living, breathing entity. Like there's all these crazy legends about they say that the island will either accept you or reject you. And I saw it. Like I saw people who had the experience of being rejected. it was kind of sad. But it's also like, if you come there with the wrong energy, a lot of people are like coming there trying to take advantage. And the land of Hawaii has been taken advantage of enough. So yeah, man, when you come there wrong, the island will chew you up and spit you out. But if you come there right, then it responds. And my experience was that it spoke to me, dude. Like it called to me, and I had all these crazy, like symbolic, prophetic experiences that led me to where I am now.
Yo, it's funny you say that. I got married in Kauai, and we honeymooned in Maui. And it was the exact same resonance for me, man. Like the moment I got off the plane, like I was on the tarmac, like 2 steps going, babe, wait, I feel the whole island. Like, off right now. and that was
I would say, there's some magic to that particular island too. Like the whole chain is dope, but Big Island itself, I often say that it's like the heart chakra of the planet. And it's very much a portal. And just in the simple, like almost mundane, cynical fact that on this one island, if you look at it on a globe, it's like this big compared to like the whole globe. And but somehow on this one space in the middle of like equatorial latitudes, it has a sampling of every biome on Earth. Everything from snowy tundra down to like sub-Saharan desert to rainforest to volcanic wasteland and everything. And how do you they have a rainforest and a deciduous forest on the same island. You can drive from a snowy mountain to like a desert in 2 hours. It's crazy.
Dude, I didn't even think about it like that. That's crazy.
It's like a sampling of all that Earth has to offer.
Yeah, and really all the good stuff too, because I mean, you've got so many like just natural like fruits and vegetables, like everything you need is really right there, and it's abundantly so as long as you respect it. And so I think it's interesting how you just mentioned you know, the island will kind of accept or reject you depending on your energy. And I
Mhm.
feel like it's kind of one of those old sage bodies like that we, a lot of us at times carry. And it's like, you know, your energy like makes other people's demons uncomfortable. And
Hey.
I think the island is a place like once you come down, you see, you know what I'm saying? But yeah,
It
so when
works
you
both
touch
ways.
down, yeah. Like you don't get the option if you want to have that conversation or not. Like you're already there, and now you've either got to adjust or be uncomfortable. And I
Very
think that's
much.
yeah, man, that's actually a really cool concept.
It's like a temple. Like you walk into a temple and it makes you confront. Like,
Yeah,
like I always like I try and avoid. Maybe this is maybe not great to say, but I try and avoid churches. Like I always imagine. If you remember back in the day, there was this movie called Vampire in Brooklyn, I think.
Oh, dude, one of my favorite movies. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Like we can go word for word right now. That's my movie.
Yes.
I love
So
that movie.
Eddie Murphy, for those of y'all who don't know, Eddie Murphy plays this vampire, and he's like this super smooth, like early '90s, late '80s, like pimp type character.
Yeah.
That's also a vampire. Like he's got the cocaine nail and the Jerry curl and like the black velvet
With the
tuxedo,
jacket.
like
Yeah.
the jacket, the smoking jacket.
Yeah.
But at one point he comes into the church and I forget why he's in there, but he has to take on the role of the preacher. So he like transforms, he shapeshifts. But while he's in there, he's like, oh, it's hot in here. And he starts like his skin starts smoking because he's a vampire.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
So he makes him do the service outside. Yeah.
But anyways, all I'm saying there is that this actually kind of plays into the theme of your whole ongoing theme in the Order of Alchemy. But sacred spaces and sacred people, I think we challenge people to confront their demons. And when they're not ready, they are not ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a lot of times they're so not ready that they turn into them and don't realize it.
Crazy. Yeah, man.
I mean, and yeah, so yeah, if you guys are joining us right now on Alchemy 101, I got Tariq Sabur on with me right now, the Ink Alchemist. And what he was just mentioning earlier, we were talking about kind of my idea for the show tonight was just about like on sacredicity and sacred spaces and time and things like that. And we just started talking. The next thing you know, I was like, dude, you need to come on my show and let's talk about this. So, you know, while you're coming on, and we kind of jumped ahead a few things because it's kinfolk. So why don't you tell everyone like what is it that you do? How would you like explain? Because I know it's a lot. But
okay, it is a lot. And what lit me up just then was like being in the realization. Like a couple of you that I invited by name are I've engaged with recently to talk about a new like almost like semi-spiritual energetic practice that is happening now. And this actually plays part of it. It's just I've been following the call of whatever comes my way. And what's been coming my way is a lot of things dealing with sacred energy. And this is one of them. But what I do in my current practice is I do what I call therapeutic and transformational tattoo work. It started out as a drive for me to take many of the things that one of the many things that I'm into that are often considered like edge or taboo or, like kind of seedy, that being tattooing, and turn it into something that is of class and of recognition, right? Like,
love it.
I wish I had it in here. It used to be one step higher than these images on my walls is this spread I have of all like the National Geographic photos of several of the ancient tattooing practices around the globe. And when we think of like tattooing as a taboo, that comes from Western culture, because the sailors and Marines who would go away to war and spend their time like, I don't know if I have to watch my language on here, but they spend their time drinking and whoring and come home as like these crazy, like gnarly, weathered seasoned seamen. And that's who would have tattoos. And then they would become bikers, and that's who would have tattoos. And then they become gangsters, and that's who would have tattoos. But what we don't realize is way before it came to us, the people they got those tattoos from, not in the Occident or in the Western world, were sacred. They were shamans and priests and medicine men and royalty. And that's who they learned the tattoo practice from. And as far as all the way back, as far back as like the earliest caveman they've ever found, pardon my scissors, the earliest caveman they've ever found is tattooed. On his mummy, there's medicinal tattoos. And all the way up to as far as recently that I know of as like Victorian royalty, so that's turn of the century Europe, the sailors and the Marines would go and get tattooed and come back, but so would the merchants and the captains. And so unbeknownst to many, like King Edward was tattooed. The Prince of Wales was tattooed. The Queen of France was tattooed. And that's the kind of thing that I try and bring back. So that's just the aesthetic. Aesthetically, I do what I call premium custom couture tattoos, meaning every tattoo is literally like designed onto your body. Like in fashion, they often misuse the word couture to mean anything that's like artistic.
Mhm.
Anything from like a stamped t-shirt to like a mini dress made out of duct tape. But what that truly means is that back in the day when you'd go to the tailor and they'd stand you up on a block and they would literally like cut and sew a garment onto you. That's the kind of tattooing that I offer. And that's what I've always offered ever since the beginning.
I like that. That's neat.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah,
And so I've been at it almost 20 years now. This is year 17 for me. And what I've discovered in the last 2 to 3 years is often when people come to me, they don't just come to me for tattoos. They come to me for problems that need solving. And this can be very therapeutic. It's the processing of trauma, the transcendence of the covering of scars, which is also, when you consider it, covering a scar is a visual representation of a trauma. So by visually covering it, we're processing a trauma. We're covering old tattoos, covering gang markings, human trafficking markings. We're covering like mastectomy scars. I've done a lot of breast tattoos. And what happens inevitably in every session is people don't just come here and sit there. They come here and sit there and they tell me their life story. And I'm no guru, I'm no shaman. I'm just like a person who channels, like channel creatively. And, not for nothing, but I've been a lot of places in my life for a person of my limited years. And I won't say that I give any kind of sage of advice or anything, but I can definitely say that people leave here transformed. And very often, no ego in this. It's just, I'm just observing what happens.
Yeah,
and so I've decided to start to delve into furthering my education and my exposure to sacred and spiritual practices in the interest of furthering what I have to offer to the people who come to me with those kinds of needs. Yeah.
Dude, that's beautiful, man. And thank you. Thank you for that. And everyone that's live and everyone that's on the radio, I'm sure that you're getting a big applause from all around the cosmos, man. Like that's like there's so many things you said within that was very all encompassing. Yeah. So I like I said, the Ink Alchemist, like, the thing for Order of Alchemy is literally acknowledging your lead and transforming it into gold. So exactly as you're talking, like being able to take someone's scar or their trauma, and while you're not only creating the art, you're also having that open, non-judgmental conversation, supporting the person and transmuting that pain into something beautiful, not just on their body, but on the inside as well. And so I think that's amazing. And again, man, like even coming from the point of, I'm no guru, I'm no specialist, but you've been around and you've got an open ear and you're coming from a non-judgmental approach, which in my very humble opinion is as guru-like as it's possible to be a guru. I mean, the no judgment and even open exchange is the way that we transform each other.
Very much. I really liked what you had said earlier in our off-board conversation about like the whole master apprentice thing, where it's like every man is a master of something and every man is knows nothing about most things. And so being able to share where like I teach you what I know and you teach me what I know, that's super powerful. There's an old saying in tattooing, at least in the old guard, believe it or not, I'm young, I'm considered young amongst tattooists, but that's just an indicator of who I walk amongst. I've been tattooing for almost 20 years, but the people I consider my peers, the people that I hang out with, who are also the people I look up to, right?
Right.
Like what they say, if you're the smartest person at the table, you're at the wrong table. I make sure I am never the smartest person at the table. So everybody that I hang out with are 10, 20 years my senior. And there's a saying amongst them, this is the old guard of tattooing, that you're never a master. As soon as you think you're a master, you stop learning. And that's when everyone else surpasses you, right?
Yeah.
So I've, believe it or not, I've actually graduated 3 apprentices. One of them she left to go pursue art school in Europe, and she's a major artist now. One of them left to pursue muraling, and she is now one of the top one of the more recognizable muralists in Phoenix. And one of them graduated from the apprenticeship here, and I think she owns her own tattoo shop now. So this is all in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
So I've always said, like, at one point someone did challenge me because, again, people view me as like this kid. They're like, who are you? This like young upstart training apprentices. And I've always said, like, I don't meet it, again, I don't greet it with any kind of ego. I'm not like, well, I know stuff, because I really don't. But just like with anything else that I teach, I don't necessarily say, hey, here's my syllabus, here's my rubric, I'm going to teach you all these things. The way that I start teaching is I say, hey, man, my disclaimer is I really know nothing. I've just had good luck, and I keep my eyes open. So I might not like have a book I can write, but I can share with you what I know. And that's really all it takes.
Man, thank you. Man, I love that approach. Like that's, yeah, man, that really is everything. Like, thank you for that. That's amazing, man. Dude, that's so, oh man, just amazing.
You know what? There's another philosophy. I often will quote this philosophy, and I don't remember exactly where I got it from, but it feeds into this quote I got once along the line that I spoke. I think she's subscribed on here. It's a friend of mine. Are we supposed to give shout outs to people? Is that?
Yeah, do your thing. Yeah, whatever you want, man. Whatever you like.
Her name's Yuri, and we're both Libras. We're almost twins. And we would always have these, she was the roommate of my partner at one point, and we would always have these crazy long conversations. We would always bump heads, but in a friendly way.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'd always share with her is that I believe it's a Buddhist philosophy that this comes from. Like, we often withhold things because we're shy, or because we don't think very highly of ourselves, or because we think that what we have to offer is not like worthy of sharing, right? And I think that we mistake that as humility. But when you think about it, it's really the opposite, because one, there's like an aspect of that that's very, very egotistical. Like, for me to say, no, I don't have enough to teach about tattooing, I could be withholding something that somebody might not even be that big of a deal. For me to be saying, oh, this is big enough of a deal for me to like hold it, is me saying I'm big enough of a deal for you to be considering what I'm saying at all.
Right.
And, but you never know, that one piece of knowledge that you have that might not be the master's level thesis, but it might be something that someone didn't know. And it might be knowledge that might have saved their life, or made their day, or changed their life. And because you had that egotistical moment of saying, oh, I've got something that's worth either sharing or not sharing, now that person doesn't have access to whatever it is you could have offered.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's hard to encapsulate in words, but there's something about that.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. It's like it's an exchange. Like earlier when we were talking about, one of the things I'd mentioned, like, again, I don't know much. I got a lot of good ideas about a handful of things that made my life easier, and that's really all I want to extend, and understand these other point of views to find more tricks of the trade, right? So that's kind of that master apprentice thing. Like, as we teach what we do know, a lot of times we discover so much more that we didn't know. And so if you're not out there like actively sharing what you know in any degree, any capacity, like, you don't know, like you said, what that's going to spark in a conversation, what new path that might take you down. Like, when we talk about these perspectives, and thank you, man, because you definitely helped channel this when I was talking to you earlier, and we're talking about how people get these like taboo or stigma point of views on you, and they're only seeing you as the square, not seeing you as the cube. And so having these conversations, like, that's what allows you to get these new perspectives and understandings, and that's what helps us all get closer to the truth. So yeah, I think that is important. But I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this one thing, because I had a talk with someone this weekend at the UFO conference I was at. And dude, first of all, let me tell you that like Saturday or Sunday, someone let some beam off in there, and like a bunch of people got sick. I'm not even joking.
Whoa, are you serious?
Yeah, it felt like it was something like this wide, and just like I felt it go right through, and then my hands, my legs got really hot, my face got hot, and I was just sitting there like, what in the hell was that? And I go to the vendor across, and I'm like, hey man, can you wash my booth? I need to go for a walk. He goes, but did something happen to you like 5-6 minutes ago? I was like, yeah. And he goes, are your hands hot? I'm like, yeah. He's like, your face? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah.
Whoa.
Thought it was weird. It was weird, but so they were talking about how like Elon Musk, right? Like he's working on all these different projects and all these different things, but they had a problem with he's only divulging like so much information that he thinks we're prepared for.
Dude, right? How awesome.
Okay, right, which is cool, but there's a lot of people that get upset with like, I want all the information, but they don't have the context or the mental emotional state to be ready for it. You know what I mean?
Men in Black, man. It's Men in Black.
Yeah. So I think it's really important that we all understand this, like, slow pace is how you get there. Right? Like you're talking about, you've been doing this not even 20 years and you still feel like you're just starting.
Oh yeah, I'm learning new things every day. I'm on Instagram and YouTube and so on. Like I have a whole folder of tattoo technique of me learning from cats that are younger than me. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? That's
yeah, yeah,
how
yeah.
I stay fresh.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting because at 17 years, you're at this point where like I'm still learning, and you're learning from people younger than you that are older in their craft, right? But
Oh
there's
no,
a
not
lot of
necessarily.
people. There's a lot of people that have been doing like this metaphysical approach, a conscious life approach, for 17 days, and they're having a meltdown. They haven't had a breakthrough yet, or even at
Mm,
17 months. And so I'm
oh
trying to
yeah.
figure out the best way to convey to everybody like that slow and steady, like that's really how it happens. The moment you unfocus, everything becomes really clear. But when you're chasing it, it's running from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bro, there's a really good quote. What you said about like things take time.
Yep.
There's an often used quote. I got this from someone who I'd love to give some props
Of
to.
course, of course.
But recently I was invited to paint live at Arco Santi at the yearly Convergence Festival.
Hmm?
And that festival, like unlike many music festivals, it was like so strongly themed. We talked about themes of conservation, like seed preservation, food plants, gardening, social issues, social engineering, politics, in and amongst this music festival. It was like Lightning in a Bottle or Burning Man, but with like a workshop weekend
Oh,
attached. It was amazing.
I love it.
And one of the people there was these poets called Climbing Poetry, and one of their pieces, it's actually important that I do give them a shout out because they are actually like this is their intellectual property. So I'm almost quoting them here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But there's an often used quote that um, recently has come to light, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if it came from them because they're like old school and it's no big deal. But they say that a butterfly is in chrysalis, right? In order to transform, they say, you're beautiful, you're a little slimy, grubby caterpillar, and then you go into this chrysalis, and then you emerge a beautiful butterfly, right?
Right, right, right.
But what people haven't realized until this, I think, came to light is that what happens inside of that chrysalis, inside of that cocoon, the entire creature melts into goo. It turns into primordial ooze, literally melts, it dissolves, it digests itself from the inside out. And so imagine that pain and suffering that creature goes through before it becomes a butterfly, right?
Yep.
So
I love it. We've talked about
consider
this
that
on the
when you're
show
going
before.
through
Absolutely.
roughness.
Yeah. Dude,
But
it's
here's
so
the thing that
important.
they added when I heard their live piece. What they added is like, now consider this: a butterfly spends 8 weeks as a caterpillar, 2 weeks as a chrysalis, and is a butterfly for like 2 days, and then it dies. So when you're going through shit and it seems like it's taking forever, remember that shit. Ooh,
Oh,
so
no,
sorry,
you're good.
pardon my
No,
French.
no, we're good. We're good. You know,
It's my first language.
we speak all the languages here. It's okay.
Cool,
No
cool.
problem, no problem. And that's actually it's another interesting thing because especially when you get into the spiritual approach of things and you start learning about frequency and vibration, like I'd be very surprised if 70% of people listening to the show don't have a crystal of some kind in their house. Right?
Hey.
You get used to that resonance, and I think it's really interesting that even at like a completely different species level, the thing that makes a caterpillar transform is a chrysalis. Like it still has that same vibrational like overtone to it of the impact of how this can truly transform you. You know what I
That'd
mean?
be interesting to look into like the etymology, like the word history of that word and how they relate. And I
Yeah,
wondered, because I
yeah,
think
yeah.
what's dope about crystals to me, now I'm a person that I'm very intuitive, and a lot of these things that people would call new age, even though it's really like ancient wisdom,
It was yeah,
is becoming popular now. That's my actual culture. Like that was the church that I didn't go to in my family. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
everybody grows up Christian, but they never want to go to church.
yeah,
People
yeah.
grow up like Jewish, but they never want to go to synagogue. I
Right.
grew up like that, but I was like, whatever. So now
Yeah.
that it's becoming all popular, I'm like, yo, that's kind of like it's ingrained in me, right?
Right. Right.
But
Right.
one thing I've always known about crystals is that like what makes them crystals is their crystallized or solidified vibration. Everything happens in frequency, and as frequencies multiply, like you ever see like a waveform of a wave,
Of course.
as those waves speed up or slow down, if you overlap different ones, like if something's at 240 hertz and something's at 400 hertz, they're out of sync. But as soon as the 240 matches up with something that's 480, then they'll sync up. And
Right.
if you
Right.
watch the images, they actually create crazy, beautiful geometric
Oh,
fractals. That's a lot of the tattoo work that I do is sacred geometry and fractals. You can't see the little designs up up there on the wall behind me, but a lot of them are
Okay.
mandalas and radials and so
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Yeah,
But
so
that's what a crystal represents. Like cube, I don't know all the titles, but all the platonic stars,
tetrahedron, octahedron.
five-sided, yes, all of those.
Gotcha.
That it's crystallized or it's solidified energy, and that's where the magic of crystals comes from.
I mean, yeah, I agree. You know, you need all these tools.
Oh, I need that. I need. Actually, I think I just bought that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it at the gem show recently.
Dude, look, I'm gonna tell you, look.
Box of them with the illustrations on top. Bro, how dope! Is that the one, the Taurus knot that rolls?
Yeah.
That's my favorite flow toy. I like dance with them. I put them on my arms and I like roll them and roll up and down.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I got all of them. Like that's what's so like dope about like living this way is like my Mystech HQ, my Order of Alchemy HQ, like it's literally just like a big wizard's playhouse. Like every single tool, utensil, toy, like I got the potion bottles. You know what I'm saying? Like we do that.
I have to get those from you. I was just I
No,
just
that's what I'm talking about. Earlier, the water bottles.
Look. Laser etch them with designs. This one's
look. So look, these are the potion ones we've got, right? So these are set to the 7.83 hertz.
Okay.
Right? But this is what I want to show you. So you have this bottle, right? That should be laser etched. Right?
Yes.
But then we got the different chakra pillars.
Oh, you're gonna set them inside the bottles?
Yeah, so these get imprinted, like this is amethyst, this is quartz, and these we set to the different solfeggio frequencies. Okay. So this one sets like 963 hertz, right? And then this just goes right in there. Bop.
Yes, and we can actually do that's. I almost stocked up a bunch of those at the last gem show I was at because I wanted to buy them so I could laser etch designs on them. And
then look, so we already got those, man. We'll link that up. But look, and then it was funny because you showed me yours earlier. How much this? This one even comes with a little like the same pouch thing you showed me.
Oh, how cool! And then we can print logos on that.
Exactly.
So it's gonna be what I've been starting to do is realizing like the speed and the rate at which I generate artwork. Like I literally do 3 pieces of art a day. I used to get really down on myself because I don't paint. Like, well, I mean, I do paint. I live paint, but like I tattoo all day. But I do a show maybe down from when I used to do first Fridays every month and 2 or 3 live painting gigs a month. Yeah. Now it's like it's so rare that I finish a painting unless it's commissioned. And all of a sudden I looked up and I'm like, why am I beating myself up? I do complete murals on people's entire bodies every day. Like that's art.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I started to realize I've got like books and like 2 filing drawers. You can't see it, but I've got like 2 stacked filing cabinets right here full of nothing but art. So I'm gonna start taking like this is it's called a Bakunawa. It's a little known Asian dragon god. That's basically it's a Filipino sea serpent that's said to have swallowed the moon, swallowed 7 of the 8 moons, and that's why we only have 1. Right. So imagine taking like that image and wrapping it around like a water bottle.
Yeah,
it's so perfect.
I agree. Perfect. Yeah. And that's the other thing. Like whenever we do like eventually launch our tattoo ink, like come up with some like really specific designs for that. Like there's so many things that we can do right now, and we still got a good amount of time, and I don't know how much a chunk this will take. But have you started watching or heard of the Natural Selection show on Netflix yet?
I have not.
Bro.
It sounds intriguing.
And everyone that's out in right now, and Artist First or Facebook or YouTube, wherever you are seeing this, dude, listen, you don't understand. This is insane to me. So, yes, please.
Hey,
yes.
Hello, if I may take a brief aside to ask.
Yeah,
if we're live streaming right now, where can we catch the live stream at?
It's on my Facebook page.
On your Facebook page. All right, cool.
And then we'll get this video thrown up on YouTube later. But for some reason, I know YouTube did some new updates and it wasn't letting me stream live there. So we'll put it up later.
All right, cool.
We'll get it. But yeah. So this show, and this is crazy, Max. I remember hearing about this back in like, I want to say 2016. But there's a whole documentary out right now that gene splicing is a very real do-it-yourself at-home kit now. You know what I'm telling you. So there's this program is called CRISPR. I remember hearing it back in 2016, I think. And it's basically like they attach a modified version of like a virus that goes in and literally attacks your DNA at a very specific code, and you can implant other genetic code. So they're making like glow-in-the-dark mice. They're making glow-in-the-dark monkeys. There's a dude trying to make glow-in-the-dark dogs. but there's people that like,
Nice.
there's a compound that you inject yourself with, and it makes your muscles grow faster.
Okay.
So this is
I think they're the HGH is like a human growth hormone that they're
this is at a genetic level, so your children will inherit this.
Oh, that's really cool.
That literally changes your genetic code. But what's crazy is, bro, guess how much the kit is just to do this at home? Literally your own gene splicing, whatever you want.
At home gene splicing, like we're there. Yeah. We're at that level of sci-fi technology right now.
We're there right now. Yes, the kit costs $140. I'm telling you. And when you watch this documentary, like one of the examples of this like very ethical science group that's trying to work on this, they're trying to like wipe out Lyme disease. So they've bioengineered mice that are not only allergic to Lyme disease from ticks, but if the tick bites them, the tick will die. And it's
nice.
Well, the thing with that is once they change that, if they breed, all the mice in that area will take that gene on, and they don't know what the ecosystem looks like with that. Like it's a permanent authorization.
Yeah, dude. Which it would be a huge aside, so I won't delve too much into it. But you know how like ticks probably to mice are similar to how mosquitoes are to us, right?
Yeah.
I hate mosquitoes with an intense, overriding, genocidal passion. I'm like, get rid of mosquitoes. So one time I followed that down the rabbit hole. I was like, why do we even have mosquitoes? Why do they exist? They're just vermin. All they do is spread disease. Mosquitoes are the plankton of the freshwater ecosystem. Without mosquitoes, there would be no living animals in lakes and streams and ponds. Because their larvae spawn, and then the krill eat the mosquitoes, and the little fish eat the krill, and the big fish eat the little fish, and the alligators eat the big fish.
And so on.
Without mosquitoes, they would be like not having bees for plants. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's crazy. So, but this is the thing they have now. So, sorry, in the show, you see a guy that's trying to make a glow in the dark dog.
Okay.
Just make it really obvious, right? But they're talking about the way this is like you could give yourself eagle vision, or someone like they show a guy that makes like a chicken with a third leg. So because anyone can do this at home, it's just a matter of time before someone like makes some crazy monstrosity that gets loose, and we got like super monsters for real. Like this is a thing.
No, that's real. Because there's like a responsible with it. But my first thought when you said they're trying to make glow in the dark mice or the tick resistant mice, I was like, that's really cool. But what are the side effects? Before you release that into the ecosystem, you got to find out, is the third generation of tick resistant mice going to be 5 times the size? Is it going to be smarter than humans? Is it going to grow tentacles? Where'd they get that gene from?
That's where we're right now, and it's like not regulated, so literally anyone can get this. Like that's the craziest thing I ever heard of in my whole life. Like I thought like our biohacking with frequencies and stuff like that was cool, but it's very non-invasive. This is something that literally could change the whole species, and people could be out there like letting whatever they want at any point right now, and no one would know.
It's similar with cybernetics. Like if people could just like go down the street to their local cybernetics clinic and get Dr. Octopus tentacles, like we just have superhumans running around the place.
Yeah.
And it's almost similar, and I'm not sure towards which angle I would direct this, but when you think about it, it's similar with information access. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because at one point, remember the terrorist cookbook that was out back in the day, and they censored that?
Anarchist cookbook.
It's kind of important that imagine the kids that are out there doing school shootings right now if they knew how to make pipe bombs instead.
Oh yeah.
It's a really sticky situation, but I feel like the limited access to technology is kind of a thing.
It is. But there's a big
there's always a Kirlian death ray or a Gorfian battle cruiser always ready to destroy the planet. The only way people get on with their lives is they don't know about it.
Yeah, but I'm saying you have this big push of people that really want all this like disclosure to things that I don't think we're really all the way ready for some of these things yet. Like it's interesting times that we're in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty wild. And so this brings me to another thing. Like, we were talking about like all different types of things that are considered taboo, right? Like spirituality before like 10 years ago, even talking about some of these things, like you're X out of families, out of groups, like, and now it's becoming more so.
Definitely out of the PTA.
Yeah, man. I mean, but it seems like all the things that have ever been considered taboo, like that's where all the power is. That's where all the freedom is. That's where all the, all the liberating things are all within of those realms that we're told don't do that. Because the moment you take that, like that type of light off of it, It's some of the most enjoyable, growing, nurturing things that are out there. And that's what I think is interesting when you were talking about like where tattoos originally came from, right? And this is me, we were kind of talking about this earlier, when we're talking about us being these divine beings and treating ourselves like we are sacred and having this sacred approach, right? So when you had the old gurus getting ink for very specific self-growing, self-empowering, understanding, protection symbols, things like this, it was out of a sacred design. But then when you get these sailors that are out there, like you said, horn around, doing God knows what, they out there getting it just because there's something trendy to do. And I think there's a lot of stigma right now where, you know, like different plant medicines, certain ones you talk about, you'll immediately have people give you these piercing taboo eyes. Like I had a friend OD from that. Like your friend was doing it to party. Like this is medicinal. Like you can't put your approach, your value system on how other people do things. Like,
yeah, that like their exposure and their experience with it might not have been positive. It could have been negative or seedy or traumatic even. And so they'll paint everyone with that broad stroke. Like I can't tell you the number of times that people ask me if I'm an artist on airplanes. It's the funniest thing. And I'm like, like they're excited. Oh, what kind of art do you do? And I'm like, well, I do tattoos. And they're like, oh, you know, like, okay, well, all right, I guess that's the end of that awesome exposure and access for you. But sometimes it could be a filter. Sometimes it filters the people who ain't ready, you know?
I know, it's funny. Like when I fly, I tell people I'm a wizard, and a couple of times they've asked to move. It's very, very entertaining. And one time, like turbulence hit the plane right as this guy's like, "What?" And he's like, "Dude, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Dude, that was turbulence. Calm down." Like, I should have played it off better.
That's awesome.
Actually, back when I had my shop at Garfield Galleria down on McDowell, there's like a Starbucks right down the street from there. And at the Renaissance Fair, I met this couple that did this amazing like leather work. And I was talking with them. They bought some Mistech, and I was talking about, oh yeah, I'm a wizard. I got everything but the hat. And she was like, oh, could we get you a hat? And so they traded me, and I got this like big black leather hat that's got like wire in it so you can visit. I used to wear that to Starbucks and terrify the muggles all day. Like they keep like a 3 to 5 foot radius. I'm just sitting here laughing like, man, I'm just out doing my thing. Like,
yo, that's awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah, but I just like, if we have this option, right? Like you've been doing this for 17 years, right? And like you said, you've been all over the place. And so I'm sure along this path, this life that you've probably had opportunity to do a bajillion different things.
I have.
Right. And now here you are, the Ink Alchemist, making magic on the skin, healing people through their traumas, and doing this in a way that not really other people really do or consider it in that way. Yeah. And so how much choice do you think really plays into the reality in your circumstances?
I would say so much, and that's so many angles, man. There's a couple times since we've been speaking that I get so excited about a question that there's like 8 different answers at once tumbling out of my mouth. But I would say it's a lot of choice, and that plays into a lot of how I value myself as an artist and how I value my work. Is that like I honestly I dropped out of college, but I have the equivalent of a master's degree. I was 1 class away from graduating with 2 dual degrees when I had my kid. That's why I dropped out of college out there in Tubuland. So I pair that with a lot of, I'm always advocating for higher education, because my 2 degrees were in what's called interdisciplinary studies. And what that is they challenge you to create your own degree. And I did that. And what I find in my career is that my success is not just my talent as an artist. It's psychology and business acumen and W.P. Carey Business School and Fine Art School in Brazil and. So I've learned how to combine those things. And what I say, like, you know, not only does it affect, like, you know, it's not a small deal that if I wasn't a tattoo artist, I wouldn't be like working at the restaurant down there. If I wasn't a tattoo artist, I'd be an architect. So that not only does it say like, hey, I value myself as an artist because I chose to do this, but it also tells you that I value you as a client, that I could be building. My grandfather like made monuments. That's who I take after. Wow. And I could be building monuments, and instead I could be painting frescoes and cathedrals. And instead I'm choosing to paint temple art for you. You know what I mean?
Man, yeah, thank you so much for that. Like painting temple art.
Power in that statement.
There really, really is. So I hope everyone heard that really strongly, because that's a really profound, and I like how you even like brought that point up, because I think so many times we miss out on like the real impact that we make, and whether it's acknowledged by other people or not, like we don't, like that validation is not always needed. We acknowledge what we're doing, so even if no one else ever consider that, man, like that's a beautiful thing. You guys see this man, and when you see his work, right, Tariq Sabur, check him out. When you see that, know that there's that much love and dedication and really commitment to healing people through this like very unique form of art that he's chosen to create. And I think that like that's an amazing sentiment that a lot of people hopefully don't miss out on, but I know that they do a lot more than you deserve, man. So thank you, like
Hey,
deeply.
thank you, man.
That's
I
incredible.
often refer to my work as temple art. That was my second biggest contender for my trademark. It was fine art for bodies, premium custom tattoos, or fine art for bodies, temple art. Because people always have this quote. They say, if you have a Ferrari, you don't put bumper stickers on it. I'm like,
but I mean,
let me just say that the people who say that aren't the person walking around in Ferraris.
yeah, man.
But secondarily, I always there's another great artist I follow named Mimi Yoon, who's famous for literally doing body wraps on Ferraris and like paintings, like cool, crazy, dope paintings that body wrap Ferraris. And I mean, amongst many other things, she also teaches art. As big as she is as an artist, she also like teaches at a school level. So
that's awesome.
But it's not a bumper sticker. A tattoo is not a bumper sticker. A tattoo is can be a high-end vehicle wrap that advertises you and your values and your worth and your family allegiance and your hobbies and your interests and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And similarly, I talk about like there's a million cathedrals in Europe. You know why we know the ones that we do? Because of their frescoes.
Yep.
Other than that, it's just a building.
Yeah.
So I call it temple art because that's what we do. That's what we do for bodies. They say my body is my temple, and I'm like, hey, let's make some art for it.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I love it. Now, aside from that, very like incredible talent that you have, like I also heard you might have been like ninja assassin part-time with a martial art or two or three.
We don't talk about that.
So okay. So
no, actually, I very rarely. It's so funny, man. Prior to really, really focusing and kind of growing up, I was really, really deep into the nightlife scene. Mm-hmm. And one thing I always experienced was like a lot of guys walking around like this, like trying to shoulder bump you, trying to like punk you, and it was always like the funniest thing to me because I never been that type, never been into that culture. But in my experience as a martial artist, and the specific martial arts that I practiced and that I learned, you don't go around with the black belt proclaiming your rank. You don't do that.
Yeah, right.
You walk around and you're like, you got to dodge something. You're like, you don't want to swing that again. You're going to not get it back. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah. Martial arts and ninjutsu. And what were we thinking earlier? Like, I think that is a little bit of word alchemy. I do, and I have practiced martial arts. I'm pretty highly trained. And amongst all of those those things that I just said about like avoiding conflict and like kind of chuckling, and when people want to like punk me, I just kind of like, I do the Bruce Lee thing. Like people could just charge right through me and trip and fall, and I think it's the funniest thing. I have a really good story about that actually. But
do you want to share that, or we do that off? We want to do that off?
Yeah, I'll share that one. At the same time, I'm also the last person that I know of that at my age that's gotten in a fist fight. And not for a stupid reason, like defending people or standing up for people who needed to be stood up for and so on and so forth. Like I don't know anybody else who's been in a physical altercation as recently as I have, outside of like a training dojo. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's another one of my concepts I really champion is I called it warrior scribes in the past, and I think I'm recently changing it to warrior shamans because we do there's an aspect of being creative and living a life where you create beauty and create quality and build family and create and cater to love, where there's still wolves out there in the forest. So if you're living your life towards these principles, which I do, and I came to terms with this as a very young adult when I was still dealing with a lot of street shit. I'm like, if I'm building all this beauty and all this high energy, high vibration stuff, and I'm not also studying how to defend it and how to maintain it, all I'm doing is building something of beauty for someone else to take. Yep. And that's not okay with me.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's that sacred mindset, man. That's that respect of what you have, who you are, and wanting to protect it.
Heck
You know what I
yeah.
mean? And so I think like it's funny how you kind of giggle when you said martial artist. I saw this meme a long time ago that I think you resonate with, and I always want an excuse to say it. It said mixed spiritual arts,
Oh, I like that.
right? And I
Let me
was
write
like,
that
yo,
down.
and I think that's right along with your warrior shaman. Like that's and so I think it's interesting, man. Like that like I know you do a lot, right? You like to travel, you do your dancing. So there's something a lot of people don't know. So I've actually known about Tariq for like a few years. He's been in my orbit for the other people that I know,
Huh.
and we just never met. But like I had always like saw him with this little person over here or hanging out here or seen his art and different things like that. So all the things that he's talking and expressing, like that's 100% him. A lot of my friends know him, and I hear nothing but like the most amazing things all the time. So
Wow, that's
so it's
that's huge. That's huge to hear, man. I
yeah,
appreciate
so
that.
that's really authentic, and I appreciate that. And I think again, it's because you have that understanding of who you are and what you're here for, and also the still figuring it out. That's a big deal. That
Yeah.
I feel a lot of times when we start on this like self-development path, or we're looking at other people that might be further along perceptually, that we forget that they went through some growth also, right? And so because it seems easy, they're like they have a hard time getting to that space to take time because they want that like that calm approach to things, and they're not sure how to do it, and it's frustrating. You know, it's like trying to grab onto water. Like you can't do that. You just got to relax, and you'll keep it.
Very much so. And I
So
think remembering that, like, it goes back to that butterfly chrysalis thing that we were talking about. Like, in our society and in our culture and in our media, we often idolize. I think I was just talking about this yesterday. We idolize the people who are where they are, but we forget that Jay-Z used to like was a self-raised child of a single parent in a project house. You
yeah,
know what I mean? We
yeah,
forget that a lot of our idols didn't come from where they are now. And we
yeah,
forget that there's work that gets them there, and it's probably not an easy or a short process. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
man.
Now, so what I was about to ask you when I'm talking about this like sacred approach, like for
Mm.
all the things you do aside from like is there one space that you feel most like zoned in? Is that when you're tattooing? Is that when you're dancing? Is it? And I'm sure they all have different degrees and everything, but like what would be your sacred space where like that's where your whole version's there?
I would say I'd probably say there's three. I'd probably say it would be like my romantic and intimate life would probably be two. I would say dance and movement is probably three, and that second practice is probably two, and then my art would probably be one. And yeah, where I'm like my number one, like where I'm what I call, I made up this word when I was a teenager, so don't clown me for this. But I use the word opus as a verb because I think that's when I first noticed that I may be somewhat borderline like manic depressive, because I go through these periods where like I am nonstop for like a 2 or 3 day period, just new ideas and art and books and music and reading and writing and talking to people and having amazing conversations. And those are my most productive periods. And those happen almost every day when I'm tattooing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's the moments when I'm like the most divine and when I'm the most channeled. And yeah, I would
Now,
say it's
do you notice like if there's ever days that you miss that, like the rest of that period of your waking is definitely in a different space than otherwise?
I would say that when these things exist in balance, they resonate. Whereas when anything is out of balance, they can affect the others. Like if I'm experiencing some trouble in my love life, it's sometimes hard for me to be as creative. Not the other way around. I think a lot of people create from places of stress and unhappiness. I can only create from a place of balance. Like the first thing I do when I sit down to draw is I clean my desk.
Yeah.
First thing I
Yeah.
do when I sit down to make art is like, honestly, the first thing that pops up is like, what issues in my life can I resolve right now in this moment of stillness? And then I get to the art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That's well the reason I'm asking is like I want to know how important that is, because that was kind of how the idea of the show of having the sacred space and time kind of came in, was because I feel like a lot of people don't don't give themselves that, right? Like all it is like I go to work, I come home, I dread going to work again. But they don't take time to like do their meditation. Like for me, like when I was making jewelry and when I make an orgonite, like even though I'm doing something, there's something very meditative about that. I mean, like when you're doing your work, you know, you get into that zone. And I feel it's so important that people give themselves that sacred time to be able to defrag and get back in touch with who they are as a way of recharging. And so many people, because they don't know that they're this amazing being, they don't give it that same respect. And I think that's really, really important.
I think I just took a couple of notes, a couple of bullet points as you were saying that, because there's 3 major points I want to bring up regarding that. There's that one, there is art in everything. And then 2, it is the practice of Zen. And 3 is the what if it was the last time? And I'm saying all those things in a series because I sometimes wander off on tangents, and I want to give those as an anchor to bring myself back.
Yeah.
But first is like there's art in everything. Like some people are accountants. I was an accountant before I became a professional artist, and there is art in everything you do. It could be in the way you mop the floor, the way that you sweep, the way you answer an email, or whatever. And I say this, I think it's really important for our audience because while many of our audience probably has crystals in their home, or work in fields of passion in healing arts or in the arts or whatever, a lot of them probably don't. Like the conversation I had with my client yesterday, he is, I think, also an accountant. And like it can be kind of crestfallen to like hear and see all these like beautiful lifestyle motivating things and be like, oh, but all I do is, customer service at Starbucks. Like, nah. When I was a cashier at Kinko's, that was art. And when I was whatever else I did before I had a glamorous life, that was also art. And you can take that and you can put art into literally everything you do. It's in the way you interact, the way you word it. Take on an accent for a day. Who's going to stop you? You know what I mean? Yeah. Come up, put some romance into the interaction you have with your client. You know, just make it sound like a good scene from a movie. There's art in everything, you know?
Yeah. How was it? The new Karate Kid, wasn't it? Jackie Chan was talking about everything is kung fu. And it is that, it's that same approach. Like I heard Jackie Chan right there, man. You know, and it is one of those things, but it is what you put into it, right? Yes. So I love and I don't think we talked about it on the show yet, but like I saw this meme and it said, you know, being an entrepreneur is jumping out of an airplane and building the parachute on the way down.
Nice.
And I think
that's so true.
That's the thing that a lot of people forget is that they can build their parachute whenever they're ready. Nice. Right? Like if you see like every once in a while, like I mentioned, I can't really read or hear other people talk because it's just like the same stuff already. But a thing I remember Tony Robbins was talking about was change doesn't actually take any amount of time at all. It happens in an instant. It just takes a long time for you to get so fed up that you decide that you want to change right now.
Happened to me yesterday. Major thing happened in my life yesterday.
Isn't it weird that you feel so much lighter after this too? Right? Yeah, like these things have a weight to them.
The synchronicities that happen, like when they say like when you're in the right space or in the right mindset or on the right path, everything kind of flows along with you. I often use the analogy of you remember these old car commercials back in like the day? It would always be like driving down a country road, right? They're like zooming along and there's like trees and orchards and fields on either side. And they would zoom past, cameras low, and the car zooms past. You just see the tire. Then you see the leaves blowing along behind them. Like that car is you. So when you're on the right path, everything gets pulled along in your wake. Those leaves are everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just like when you get in alignment, man, dude, like since yesterday, this is actually the second time I've had this conversation. I got invited to be on 2 podcasts on topics that I never even delved into because of where I was in my life until that turning point yesterday was kind of creating a barrier. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's interesting how it happens, man. I'm telling you, we like there's the old saying like, you can't fill a full cup.
Yes.
Right. And so it's one of those things like we hold on to these things that we don't know what they can be replaced with. Right. So like even pulling back, like even pulling that back into like your art, like these people that end up with these like different scars, as you said, I think that's like a beautiful example. Like honestly, I have this one right here on my hand from a sword fight I did with my brother when I was younger. Nice. And he went to throw like this stick that I cut out of the air, and he picked it up and like went to throw it at me to distract me, and I went to block it and missed and like stabbed me like in my hand. And you can't really see it on the camera, but it looks like the snowy part of the top of a mountain. And I always thought it would be dope to get like that, just kind of added onto it. But taking something like that and again, not knowing that this thing that seems so bad is something that you yourself can find someone like you and transform it into this like amazingly beautiful, unique, one of a kind thing that couldn't even exist if the scar wasn't already there in the first place.
So awesome. Absolutely.
I think that's what's fun about like the alchemic approach to everything is like everything is always in balance. Like it's equivalent exchange. This is always going to lead to this other thing. But if everything's good all the time, your cup's never being empty.
True.
So like when it leaves, you should be just excited. Like when you have these things happen, you should be just excited. When you're talking about earlier movement being so important, right? One of the really important things to me is like if you're not moving, you're dying. So like anytime you're being still, like, because when you're being still in meditation, you're still doing something. You're not really being still. You know what I mean? So if you're that car pulling those leaves by in the wake, you're creating movement for other things as well. Now you're inspiring this other thing to have movement. You're creating more life. So this is why I feel it's so important that we all are doing these things all the time, because our collective consciousness is overbearing right now more than it ever has been. And the more of us that get on the same page, like, dude, we have so many conversations just looking in the camera, not saying a thing right now. Yeah, because resonance is real like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's because of that collective approach and chasing after the same things, really, really not because it's trendy. And that's interesting how these things of substance and real value become trendy. It's like it's trying to deflate that out, but where it's like, well, you can see from here. That's why I get the festivals. I know you've been to them. When you look at someone that's not really there, they look away real quick.
Yeah, there's that like intensity, you know, like the eye, that 1,000 yard stare.
Yeah,
like if you look into the eyes of a real person, like if you're not a real person, you know who talked about this a lot? Rudyard Kipling in the Jungle Book. Every time like the jungle animals would talk to Mowgli, they would always talk about how they couldn't meet his stare because they were all animals and he was a man. There's a lot of superiority politics in Rudyard Kipling's, you know, like turn of the century British Empire and India shit going on. But one thing I saw in that was like that. I didn't like it. I don't like that. But at the same time, like drawing that parallel is like if we're here and we're looking into the eyes of those that are here, they can't meet that gaze. You know what I mean? Yeah. And by we, I'm not talking about me and Halo people out there. I'm talking about we transcended, ascended people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not bad mouthing anyone because everyone's on their journey. Like I just said, yesterday I was a different person. 2 years ago I was a different person. A lot of the things I got into that I'm into in like a therapeutic light worker sense now, I got into because I was a horny teenager 10 years ago. Maybe more years ago than that.
Right. Yeah, right. Good numbers.
So we're all somewhere on our journey, right? But I definitely have seen I've seen people who I couldn't meet my gaze when I talked to them. And I've seen people who I couldn't meet their gaze when I talked to them. And I respect the shit out of those people. And those are the tables I try and sit at.
Yeah. But no, I think that's dope. Like, because just how you said, like before it was just like, you know, some horny teenager stuff. And that was the approach to it. And then later on, like that mindset and experience, like transformed, evolved into something that can be used as a tool. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of those things. There's so many things that we have at our disposal. Like we were talking about like Tantra and all these things. I always jokingly, but not like humans just do sex wrong because it's all about the carnal part of it and forget about that sacred energy exchange portion that needs to be even. Otherwise, one's food and one's the feeder. You know what I mean? And that's
very much.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like
that's so real too, because like I was gonna say that I never really knock people who are, you know, the trend is high. Like a lot of my friends who are like hardcore, like practitioners, like Satanists, Wiccans, so on and so forth. They're so mad that you could literally buy a witch kit at Ulta right now. It's like a crystal and like a feather and a black crayon to draw a pentagram with, and they're like, "Yo, this is my culture. What the hell?"
Yeah.
But and you know that is obnoxiously commercialist. It is. Even I disgusted at that. But at the same time, it's like this is the portal. This might be the portal. And like I said before, it's like, you know, if 10,000 people are following it because it's a trend, at least 1 in 100 of them is gonna make it a lifestyle.
At least.
And you know that's how the culture grows, and that's how it deepens. That's how, you know, a master becomes an apprentice and an apprentice becomes a master. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like again, like with tantra and stuff, like I got into that stuff because I was a horny teenager, and now it's like a transcendent practice in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's
I'm
what thing.
definitely
I appreciate you pointing that out. Like whatever gate that gets people to that position, you know what I mean? Because they don't know. Like we don't know what we don't know. And so commercial or not, like if it's the spark, if it's the one thing, like dude, I was talking to you about we want to put together our own festival, right?
Yes,
And
that's
and I was
right. Yeah.
and I was talking with an actor friend of mine, and he had mentioned like, hey, I know some other actors that would be interested in coming to this, and so I don't know if your type of people for the festival you want would really care about that. So I don't know if you'd want me to do that or not. And I said, hey, look, you know what? That's going to draw in all sorts of people that don't know about this type of stuff, and that might come for that reason. But after that experience, it's going to transform them. So it doesn't really matter what the portal is, as long as the trajectory ends up being the same. And so I think that's
what I love about like the like music festivals, like the Convergence one last like I went because I got invited to paint live. A lot of people came because of the headlining DJs. But what we learned like was 3 days worth of panel discussions on politics, spirituality, earth stewardship, and so on and so forth. So people came for the music and they left better people. And by better people, I mean like better at being people.
Yeah. No, I got
to that.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. So hey, look on Artists First, we're coming up to our hour close. So, but we can say and keep going on the Facebook Live. And guys, if you want to continue with us, if you've got time, I'd love to have you on, and the rest of the clip will still be here live on Facebook. You guys can catch the rest on YouTube. But as far as Artists First, Tariq, you got any closing words, or I know you're not a sage or anything, but in the event you were, if you had to like play one right now, what would you say?
And remember, kids. No, I'm just joking. Trying to recap everything we talked about today. It's such a broad topic matter. I don't really know how to summarize it. But all I would say is I think that last point about like, because I think we reach a really broad audience who don't necessarily have the blessing or the luck or the good fortune to have made a lifestyle out of their passion. But all I could say towards that is 1, do, and 3 and 2. I skipped 2 entirely.
Yeah.
2, if you haven't or don't feel that you have, recognize that you probably still do. If you're a school teacher, teach those kids with passion, with art. If you are I can't think of any other jobs. I've done it in a long time. But whatever it is, do it with passion and intention and integrity, and you'll find that that's where you find that. Like the second point was about Zen. Like we talked about Kung Fu. Jackie Chan said Kung Fu isn't everything. You know what I mean? Like the first thing I teach my apprentices is how to mop the floor. And if they balk at that, I'm like, well, listen, if you do that right, you can do anything right. Like anything that you do, like it's Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
I used to read this book called Zen and the Art of Being a Motorcycle Mechanic. I used to be a total greaser, rode motorcycles and crashed them and fixed them and all that. And it's like if you concentrate and put love and heart into the way that you turn a screw, that is practice for everything else that you do. So whether you're scooping ice cream or wiping snotty noses or sewing up flesh wounds, when you do it with that passion, it's like you can either make your lifestyle be of passion, or you can imbue passion into your lifestyle. So it's there for everybody, man.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. No, that's perfect, man. Thank you. So where can everyone find you on social media, everything? Real quick shout out.
Oh, word. My tag is Fine Art for Bodies. All normal, all spelled correctly, all proper English. And you can find that on Instagram, anywhere on social media, and anywhere online. If you just Google it, it'll come up, and that'll probably have my big goofy smiling face and some of my tattoo work and whatever else is coming of all of this synchronicity that's happening around sacred work and shamanistic work and therapeutic work, and whatever else is going to be born is probably going to be attached to that name. So write down and hope to hear from you. Keep in touch.
Oh, thank you.
Also, I'll be here as often as Halo lets me. Here.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely have to. Thank you so much. So yeah, guys. So Mr. Tariq Sabur, thank you so much for being on the show. No worry, I'm just gonna jump off Artists First. We'll keep the live channel going a little bit longer. But everyone that is on Artists First, thank you guys so much. This is Halo. the Jedi Alchemist. I think we can all do better at being humans, and if not, then we can just go ahead and evolve right past that. So I'll see you guys next week. I'm going to be in Toronto tomorrow at the Whole Life Expo. I hope to see you guys there. I love you, and check out the rest of the clip on orderofalchemy.org. Tariq, thank you for coming, man.
Yeah, most that, man. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So now we got a little audio clip done. Everyone else is in the channel. Now we're gonna be freestyling a little bit more. I don't know how much time you got.
I got a couple more minutes. I get like half hour more.
Cool.
There's one more thing I wanted to say. I don't want to like just murder the point, like
no.
death. But I became privy to this quote the other day. Another artist friend of mine had just recently met, and we've been hanging out and having like single dad artist play dates lately. This was so awesome. Our little kids run around and sculpt, and we like talk business and talk shop. It's so awesome.
Yeah, it's needed.
Yeah,
it's needed.
So needed, man. It's just like it's so beautiful, the concept and the thought that we're able to raise our kids in this lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, even like with me traveling so much, like again, I'm leaving again for another 5 days. It's wild, but my 2-year-old, like, he knows how to get my wife's phone and video call me if he misses me.
That's so trippy.
So it's weird, and I didn't really like fully appreciate it until one day I was talking with my dad, and he lives out in Missouri, and again I was saying before I was a pro gamer, so like me, him, my brother, 2 of my other brothers, and like with my cousins would all be in the same game in the same party and like hanging out in game but talking and still like hanging out and doing stuff. It's not exactly the same thing, but my dad goes, "Hey son, I gotta tell you, this is so cool," because I didn't get to spend a lot of time with my father growing up. He lived on the other side of the country, and we barely even had phones. And so it's a really cool like time to be able to still travel and still be able to connect in a way, that I love it, man. It's
what a time to be alive.
Yeah. And
me and my siblings like grew up hella close, like that stereotypical, like classical, like we were the Huxtables, you know what I mean? Like every 7 p.m. sitting around the dinner table, like one of my sisters would be braiding my hair, we'd be watching the Cosby Show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like now we live on opposite corners of the country: New York, Baltimore, Phoenix. And then my little sisters moved to Phoenix, but prior to that, she lived in Saudi Arabia. Like we were all over. But somehow, like our kids, they're 6, 8, 10, and 11, and 1 are all like they all video chat each other every day, and so they're growing up just like this, and it's so dope. There's that generation in between where we became distant because we were too far away to call, write, and telegram, and now all of a sudden it's like, hey, how you doing? Video chat every day. Kids are growing up like together, and it's dope.
I love it. It's really cool, and like I don't know, now with VR, like we're gonna have full dive probably within the next like 6-7 years. Like that's how quick it's moving, and then you're gonna be able to like really interact and visit and take classes and all these things from anywhere. Like dude, that's such a crazy concept. Like I don't know.
Dope. Think of like the different climates and the different communities, different physical communities we can have access to. Like, if you want to live in San Diego for whatever San Diego reasons are, you want to live in Hawaii, you want to live in Sri Lanka, then you can, but you can still be in touch with your network. Go out and be seen and be a part of your community. But also, keep in touch with your family and your last community.
Dude, look, that's what I was gonna say. That's what you reminded me of when you said doing these like single father play dates. Right? So from my travels and just syncing up with these amazing different individuals at different festivals, we kind of all dropped out of it over the last probably like 2 months because we all got really, really busy, and we're talking about getting it going again. And this would like be an amazing thing for you to be a part of too, man. We have this call called Soul Brothers, where every Friday from like 9 until maybe 11 o'clock, there'd be like 6 to 2 dozen of us on here, and everyone would just be talking about like what was like one accomplishment for the week, what's something you're struggling with, and how can we help.
That's amazing.
And man, and it was like it would kind of have like a focus, but it was mostly just kind of freestyling, and incredible thing, man. It just helped us all so much, and like new practices, new ideas, and like I think we need something like that like everywhere.
I'm definitely down for that.
Yeah. Soul Brothers, man.
That sounds amazing, man.
Dude, it was so much fun. It really was. It was incredible. And it was a cool thing because you find out like no matter where you're at in the world, no matter what your profession is, like when it comes to interacting with other people, it's all really, really similar energy.
And we're all like living the same struggles, and we're all kind of living the same lives, and that's so dope. Like I just made a huge post. A psychologist posted a very, very well shared commentary on the Joker movie, and my response to that was like how much the state of society and so on, how much our society is lacking in connection and connectedness and kindness. But when you think about it, like the way that we don't relate is so silly, because we literally are living that, like the number of times I've sat down and talked to somebody about my problems or their problems, and we've been like, oh my God, I'm going through the same exact thing, is like uncanny.
Oh yeah.
So like what I think what this does is it provides a buffer or like a tool where we can sit there and identify and realize like, oh, you live, where are you at again? Pacific Northwest?
Yeah.
Going through the same thing, probably similar struggles, day-to-day life kind of stuff. Also similar goals and ambitions and so on and so forth. So more so than ever, we're able to really like curate and create our tribe.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, check this out. I just looked behind me, and I don't know if you can see this through the podcast, but now that we're on private, I want to remember when I want to share this. Remember when I was talking about the whole warrior scribes thing?
Yep.
Check this out. This is I call it my bullet Buddha.
Oh, hey.
Buddha represents like serenity and so on and so forth, right? He's got
I love it.
Beads, and it's a candle holder, so he's got a melted wax. But on his back is this crazy dope Damascus dagger that I got.
Dude, that's amazing.
My throwing knife mentor.
So hold on, before you move on, I got to tell you something. So I still have us live on Facebook, just not on the radio.
Oh, cool. That's fine.
Okay, cool. Just in case. I was going to let you know. I was about to hit that stop live stream real quick. Okay, all right, we're good.
You're good. But it also, like, in it, I have this beautiful lotus origami that was given to me by a really dear friend, like years and years ago. And I put a lump of clay in it, and in that is like basically a bullet of every caliber of weapon that I've fired. And it's like, to me, it's so symbolic that this is a symbol of like peace and serenity and being centered, not self-centered, self-awareness and calm in the storm. But like around us, there's still a storm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I stay on my Zen, but I stay armed as well.
Oh man, yeah. No, that's beautiful symbology.
And you know that the quartz brass knuckles that you see online? There's like a meme about it. Like for when I gotta align a motherfucker's chakras.
Yeah.
I'm getting those. Those are gonna be in my display case on sale.
Dude, we can get them imprinted, you know, so you get that super uppercut.
I got the super tiger uppercut.
Yeah.
Yo, I got it, man. We gotta really sit and discuss like products and merchandise, because like I could see like almost everything that I'm looking forward to carrying is some sort of like spiritual tool of some sort, whether it's from like self-grooming and self-care. I've got like a private label beard and hair care line that's coming out by the Oyin handmade family.
Yeah.
So they did like, all I ever used is when I had this beard that was like this long and like the 4-inch handlebar mustache going on. Yeah. All I ever used was this product called Oyin, and they actually reached out to me. They used me as a spokesbeard, and they were like, hey, if you want, we can do a private label for you. So it's going to be my own, like, I don't know what I'm going to brand it yet, but it's going to be awesome.
Dude, that's crazy. So it's really, that's funny you said it. My roommate, she makes like all natural skincare right now. Has a company called Pro Priest that we put Mistech in.
Oh, how cool.
She's made like tattoo balm for me for like healing my arm, and because the Mistech's in it, it heals real fast. So yeah, man, there's lots of different things, like there's like, dude, but yeah, I'm gonna be in Toronto till next Monday, and then like right after I get back, my wife's leaving for like a week, and she's taking her little vacation, much deserved. But once she gets back, I told her I probably have one trip left in me for the rest of the year, maybe two. But just let me know sometime, man. I'll shoot down to Phoenix and we can chop it up and show me the shop. And yeah, man, like.
Heck yeah. That'd be so dope. I really think it'd be such a fit for like all these things we talked about, like the charge products, the water bottles, the jewelry and decor. Like I've got a jewelry case waiting to be filled. The lightsabers I'm super hyped about. Even like the workshops, like I would be super amped to I've been interacting more and interfacing with the actual city, like the Arts Commission, about murals and workshops and so on. So I'm outgrowing this 1,500 square feet space really quickly.
Well done.
So I'd be so happy to like facilitate or help find space for these workshops. And I definitely know How many people out there, by show of virtual hands, would be interested in a like an actual like lightsaber fencing course? I'll let Halo tell you more about like the energy and spiritual work involved with it, but like just based off of that, how many hundreds of people are like, heck yes, sign me up?
Yeah. And so like right now, like, dude, that's the thing. Like, have you seen Beat Saber yet? Okay, so Beat Saber, like, I've got the hands-free VR.
Okay.
Right, so it doesn't need a console. It's completely standalone. And when you hold the two controllers in virtual reality, you see two lightsabers.
Oh, I've played a game similar to that. I don't know if I knew what it was called.
And then arrows come at you.
Yes, I have played that. It's amazing.
Okay, so look.
I was the person whose house I played that at is the dude who I was like, yo, I've got.
Look. I was playing that for like 2 to 3 hours a day. I went to E3 this year, and because I played it so much, they had me on the big screen at E3.
Nice.
And so there's a program you can get where you can download and build your own levels. So again, for the katas and everything, like I did kendo for 7 years. So we're building in like, so for the root chakra, there's an entire form that's based off of like a combination of Tai Chi and Kendo, Kempo about bouncing out your root chakra. And we're going to build that whole training program in VR. So you learn the whole thing there. And what's crazy, like you felt it when you cut, like everything vibrates.
I so did.
Dude, I got like 10-pound wrist weights I put on, and then boom, boom, boom. And then you take them off and you feel like Goku. Oh, pow, pow.
Dude, I do that every day. I was in there like at the homie's living room at the kid's birthday party. It was so awesome. Yeah, I had both controllers engaged. So I was doing both channels, and I was like doing like Kali drills with the lightsabers, and it was so cool. Dude, I'm at there like at the gym every day, like getting like straight stared at, clowned on. So what I'll do is I'll take 5-pound barbells, 5 to 10, depending on like usually how much I've slept, and I'll be doing like Kali drills with these dumbbells, and people are like, what the fuck is he doing?
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, look. I took my VR headset to 24-hour fitness, and like in between the hours, I'll go into like either like the yoga room or I'll go into where they do the cycle and they move all the chairs out and they got like laser lights already. I just put the VR headset in there. I can't see anybody, and I go ham for like an hour. And dude, some of these songs, like you're doing like 1,500 reps in 3 minutes, and like you're so focused on the game, you forget you're working out. And after the song, you're just like, and you're half dead.
I remember I was like breaking a sweat. I'm like, let me chill out on this video game in front of all these people.
There's been 3 times. Dude, there's been 3 times the class was starting and they didn't want to interrupt me. So I take the headset off and there's like 40 people in there just like, so what were you doing in there? And I'm just like, oh man. Like,
you're like, what's up? My name is Halo Marquez.
Yeah. And then like when I'm home, I put this on, you know what I'm saying? You want to get real, you know, gotta embrace the full samurai
journey. That's dope.
Check
this out. This is my side project I've been working on for way too long, like a period of months almost. But I'm doing this as a full face model that's going to be mass produced for sale.
Oh, yo, what?
And then I have 3 more designs of half face masks that I'm working on as well.
Oh yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
There's so many things.
That's amazing.
That's why you see it's like my whole theme going on. You see the samurais up there?
Yep.
Those are my soul retrievers was the name of that sequence.
Ooh, I love it. Like that's kind of what I want to make for Order of Alchemy. Like that's why I got this as like a tester. Like aside from your blade, what? Wow, you guys seeing this? That is amazing.
That's the origin of the universe. It's like this 6-armed like Kali-esque goddess that's creating, like sculpting lotuses and then casting them out into space, and each one is going to grow a universe. I'm trying to follow this backwards in the camera, you guys.
No, I got you. Yeah.
So each one is like generating planets, and then as it follows that path, the last one is going to be the Milky Way. It's going to be sick.
I love it. That's dope. That's super dope. Man, amazing.
Sorry, we just went so off topic. I got excited to show you my art.
That's what the after show's for. I mean, that's
yeah.
But no, that's good, man. Yeah, we'll figure out a time. Like, I usually come down like the last 2-3 years. I think I usually come down like the first week in December. It's right around my birthday, and usually I'm down there, see a couple of people, and so yeah, we'll just figure out a time. I don't have any other events right now after this Toronto show.
Yes.
So.
Oh my gosh, you know what that's perfectly in time for? It should be the grand opening of my new shop.
Oh.
Mid-December. Yeah.
There you go.
That'd be perfect timing. And then we could do like a little bit of a panel. Like what I'm trying to do with this space, if I may share, is since my very first tattoo studio, this is not my third, I've tried to create a community space that welcomed a space for all of my artist friends to show, present, and sell their work. Keep in mind, before I opened my first tattoo studio, I was like a street artist, like on the street trying to sell paintings and First Fridays and stuff, and you know, tattooing from my home studio.
Yeah.
So when I blew up overnight, all of a sudden, I was like, yo, I'm putting everybody on. Bring your art, hang it on the walls everywhere. We're gonna have shows every month. But I didn't realize how much work it was to have an art gallery. So you know, that was my early, what they say, fall down 7, stand up 8.
Yeah. Yep.
That was my first fall down. But ever since then, I'm trying to recreate it. So now I'm in a space where have a space for an apprentice. I have a space for a receptionist. I'm trying to hire a shop manager to manage all those aspects. And the goal is a space where I've got about 1,000 square foot lobby. So there's this little atrium that, oh man, I wish I had the sketches up. For the grand opening, I'm planning on having like the floor plan and the space renderings.
Yeah.
I've got this atrium that's like maybe like a 12 by 12 foot all glass corner of the building that's like so beautiful. And in it, we'll have space for guest artists and guest tattooists, possibly piercers. And what I want to do in there is, like, whenever I'm not having a guest artist there doing their own thing, I want to have like pop-up workshops. Like, you can come in there and teach or do henna or do body painting. My friends who are makeup artists from out of town, they're like, yo, all I need is a studio so I don't have to drive to Gilbert for my clients, you know, setup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that. And then in lobby space, I want to have frequent shows where, you know, there's always going to be a monthly artist, featured artist, and then they can paint live anytime during their month that they want to. And then in between, in order to encourage foot traffic, we're going to throw workshops, shows, art nights, so on and so forth. And
I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be like, on any given night, there could be, you know, through tattooing, there's like 7 to 10 people in and out of the shop every day, just our clientele. But through this, I could have like 200 to 300 people through the shop every day. And that's where these things that we're talking about, like I've got several different categories of merchandise, like art and merchandise based on art, apparel and accessories, jewelry and accessories, apparel and similar stuff, you know, like tattoo wraps, garments that are cut specifically to show off different tattoo areas, like all this cool stuff. But that'll drive the traffic to bring people in here to see it, you know.
That's dope, man. And for clothing, just so you know, because we've done it a handful of times, like, we can imprint clothing too.
Oh,
like I've got some this amazing dude, man. He's doing like an like ocean cleanup like crazy right now. This dude named Darren Fryer, amazing dude, and he surfs with a imprinted Mistake shirt and was like freaking out about how easy it was. So like, yeah, it's fun, man. We can imprint almost anything.
Yo, it's so many opportunities to connect in here, man. This is so awesome.
Yeah. I'm excited. And even like, so like some of your art that you have, like the ones that go on these like the inch out canvases, you know, kind of have a little hole in the back. So this one I always want to do was make like functional healing art. So like, as long as you have that space there, we could get like a mold of what that space looks like and build like an orgonite that would slide right into the wall. So that art is there, but it's got this energetic healing built into it with all the other intention that went into the art itself. I mean, like, that would be an amazing thing for people to just be able to put in, like, you can physically feel the difference. Like, dude, when I had that spot at the Garfield Galleria, I was on the bottom floor, and we did like a crystal grid and an organite grid throughout our whole living space. And the second floor right above us, these other dudes moved in, Dante and Cedric, amazing guys, very our tribe, very much so.
Okay.
The first day they come down to introduce themselves, they're like, hey, do you notice how this side of the building just feels so much different than like all the rest of it? I'm like, they're like, well, you just notice like in our space it feels really, really good, but like as soon as we like walk out into the hallway, like everything just shifts and it feels real different. And I go, why don't you guys come downstairs to my office? Let me show you what I do. And so I come in, I'm showing them the crystal grid, and they're like, yo, this is like beaming right up into us. Like,
dude, I want to do that.
Yeah,
I have a space, like, I don't want to talk about it too much online because it's still like a nascent idea, but I've got someone designing it for me, where a certain like 10 by 10 area of my lobby is being built out for performance art and healing work. So what I'd love to do is put a crystal grid under that, and that would be really, really awesome.
Yeah.
I talked about getting one of the, you know, the pyramid structures that they do, and there'll be like a crystal thing up here at the top of it.
Yep.
I've thought of that, but that might conflict with the geometry of what I'm building there. But something on the floor would be really, really awesome. Or even we could do it. I was gonna floor it with tatami mats underneath, but if we could do something like this on a possibly like a movable platform or a series of platforms.
Yeah. There's all sorts of things, man. But the like gridding, that's one of my favorite things. Like creating these etheric structures. So yeah, that's.
You know what? Just in case, because I don't know how many people are following. I can't see the followers on here, but I don't think we talked about what you're talking about when you speak about charging garments and imbuing them with these properties. I don't think we touched on that yet today.
Yeah. So Mystics. So we developed this process. I actually met a company that was working on this a little over a decade ago, and just by some amazing turn of events that I can only assume was my life path, I ended up knowing a little bit more about what they were working on than they did. And because of that, they brought me on as a new partner, and eventually I bought them out. But in short, your body is like this big biometric circuit board. And just like any other circuit board, if you get a strong like electromagnetic field next to it, it can cause some distortion. Yeah. So anyone that doesn't understand that concept or doesn't agree with that, why don't you go get a giant magnet and put it next to your cell phone, and then
don't actually do that.
Don't really do that. But I'm saying that will see how I said that will wipe out your phone because it's and the magnetic will wipe. Okay, so we got that figured out. So like a really easy example is like, you remember when cell phones first came out, you'd be listening to the radio driving around and the song gets all static, right?
We get that beep 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 beep.
Right. And you can still like make the song out, but it sounds like crap, right? That's kind of how everyone's body is operating right now. You can still make out all the signals, but it's the crappy version because you have distortion from all these electromagnetic fields that are around you all the time. And essentially they confuse the way your protons spin. And then when your electric circuit's trying to operate, it moves all extra and erratic. So it makes pain that should be very small feel like it's a wider spot. And it makes the pain feel like a lot more intense because that pain signal is not traveling the right way.
Right.
So we have
that affect your psyche too, because like all of our thoughts are electromagnetic radiation between our neurons, basically.
Yep.
Like electrosynaptic sparks, basically, and sparks are definitely electrical and therefore affected by electromagnetic fields and so on.
Right. And so we can imprint any frequency that we want to, but the Schumann resonance 7.83 hertz, which is the Earth's natural frequency, oddly enough comes from lightning strikes. Originally, that's where the original frequency came from.
Interesting.
And so now there's all this misinformation out there that I don't know if it's coming from some other beings from the multiverse, some aliens, whatever it might be. But there's this very bad disinformation right now that I keep coming across in the last like 3 to 4 years about the Schumann resonance is rising because of human consciousness. And it never had anything to do with that. It came from lightning strikes. And now we have more electricity on the planet than we've ever had. And when we have big like cosmic events, you've got more people going out and taking cell phone pictures and people revving up more machines to get all the readings. And during those times, we have a lot of electromagnetic distortion that happens. And that's what makes the Schumann resonance spike. Like I tell people all the time, if you've got pure water, like the purest water you could ever get, right? And it's at the perfect pH, that's the perfect version of water. If an animal comes along and pees in it and changes the pH to something higher, it doesn't make it better than the original pure water. And there's people like, oh, the Schumann resonance is raising. It's really exciting. Like, no, it's moving away from its natural state because of what we're doing to the planet. So this technology puts you back at that normal state. And because of that, your pain signals, your brain signals, all that travel through your body at an optimal rate. So everything increases, everything improves. And I mean, we've got biometric feedback in real time that you can see someone's energy body change, like on the spot.
Like the things with like the different electrodes?
Yeah.
Nice.
Matter of fact, let me see. And then
what you're doing is you're bringing it back into
the norm,
into neutral, or back into equilibrium, back into balance.
Right. And people have this like I guess misassociation, which it's not their fault, but it's not really healing them. What it's doing is it's removing the electric distortion from their body so their body can heal on its own the way it would anyways.
Okay.
So imagine like, do your martial artists, you understand the concept of ankle weights?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so imagine everybody else has had their ankle weights on their entire life and you're just smart enough to take them off.
Okay.
You're not improving anything. You're just removing this other barrier that was impeding you from being where you should be anyways. That's what this technology does. It just removes the electromagnetic like ankle weights from your body, so it goes back to being optimal.
Nice, dude.
Like here. Have you ever seen like the Kirlian photography before?
That's the aura photography, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. I have seen it, yeah.
So check this out. So we have this on our page. Let me see how you usually
okay.
think it works. Can you see it yet?
I can see it, yeah.
Okay. So this was this woman's field, and she was like, yellow's all low, and it's not good. And is this going to help? And I was like, this is more working on your physical body. But she ends up getting one. And then in less than 5 minutes, check this out. Guess what side the bracelet was on? That's in less than like.
Nice. It's all. Oh.
And then overnight it went to that.
Whoa, nice, dude.
Right, and then eventually went to that.
Nice. What are the different colors represent?
All right, so think of it in like the chakra system. Like, how you doing? So like,
I didn't realize how close I was to the camera.
yeah. I do it all the time. This is cool. So red is like your root. So that's as far as the people that are trying to be like, I want to raise my vibration, right? Mm-hmm. Red is like the lower spot, and then you want to get up to like blue, green, purple, white. That's the ascended state. So for her to go from yellow to green, just like that, like yellow.
So it's further up the electromagnetic spectrum,
right.
And also further up the energy spectrum, the chakral spectrum, so to speak.
Right. And so because of this, I ended up giving a lecture at the Conscious Life Expo this year, and I got to meet Nassim Haramein, one of my favorite physicists. I met Dwayne Rock Ramos, the hip hop producer, and we have music that changes the frequency of music back to 432 hertz, and then you feel it. And this dude started getting like teared up in the middle of the expo. It was crazy.
It was crazy, man. I know. I like to hear that that's happening in like musicians, like people that make pop music. I recently saw a song by Janae Aiko that's basically designed to be within the love frequency, like the solfegic frequencies.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I just got a new turtle, and the turtle's name is Solfeggio.
That's great.
New turtle in the family.
Yeah, it's important. You need them.
Heck yeah.
No, that's great. And yeah, like there's more artists that are starting to do this. One of my friends owns this amazing restaurant in Vegas called Bloom, and we're actually gonna set all of their like music equipment, all their wiring up with the frequency. So it'll be the first dude, like even in your tattoo
There's
spot.
So much wiring, and then each one of those, right? Like the reason wires are at different levels of shielding is because they both are subject to, and they emanate hella radiation with these like huge pulses of energy. Every time you hear a bass boom, that's like however many watts your speaker puts out, it's that much electricity coming through.
Yeah. So we can set that so everything will come out at 432 hertz.
That's super dope.
Like that'd be a dope thing for your shop too. Like whatever music you guys got, like that.
Yeah, I could do my power chords like that. That'd be super sick.
Yeah. And
I've actually noticed like one of my brand names is Iron Song. And I say that because when a tattoo machine is tuned correctly, it actually gives you this nice hum. It's like this metallic hum. And I noticed that some of them are like a perfect C note.
That's interesting.
Sorry, I don't know if you caught that. There's like a custom car shop down for me, so I always get these huge like V8 roars going down the street.
Yeah, no, you good. I missed it. I used to race, man. I miss it. So that was music to my ears.
Heck yeah, dude.
Which is weird. Like I'm up in Portland. I couldn't tell you like because I just don't get up into the mountains. Like I never hear streetcars up here ever.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Well, I guess because it's like it rains there, so the road conditions are probably great for like drag racing and drifting.
It doesn't. Like it does like part of the year, but I've been here for 4 years and I haven't seen some sure, but I grew up in the Midwest. I saw rain there. Here it's like bipolar. It'll rain for like 5 minutes and then nothing for 5 days.
Whoa, it's all like gray and cloudy and humid all the time, or not at all?
I mean, yes, because I don't want more people to come here. But no.
Yes, totally. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Stay home.
Stay
terrible.
Yeah. Got to. But yeah, man, there's a lot of exciting things and technologies, and it's cool just to see what type of collaborations and things can come up with. You know what I mean?
I am so hyped right now, man. Just so many awesome things are coming down the pipes right now. So very, very excited.
Oh, that looks fun.
You saw that? Darn it. I tried to be off camera.
No, you're good. You're good.
I used to keep a wet bar stocked in my office, in my private office above the like filing cabinet on the
Yeah.
wall and shit. But man, one time I had a friend come by the studio. He was like, "Hey, is it cool if I grab some Sailor Jerry's rum?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool. I'm trying to empty the bottle anyway." All right, small secret. I don't drink. I literally like almost never drink. But I like you keep the bar stock because other people do. And like
Right.
when my friends like, whatever substances they use or drinks they imbibe in order to elevate themselves, I always joke. I'm like, oh, go ahead and have a drink. I'm good. Like you're trying to get to my level. I'm already here.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't
dude. Back
have
when
any
I was
inhibitions and I don't know how to act, so I'm good.
yeah, no, I was a promoter in like Scottsdale and Phoenix for a while back then. Then I drank, and now like if I'm like traveling or whatever, I got layover or something, I might grab something, but it's just because there's no green magic available everywhere. So,
Nice.
dude, that's crazy. Like that's the other thing too. Like we even have pipes that makes cannabis like 30% more potent.
Whoa, gnarly.
It's wild, and we like send it out to like professional growers, and that was like our standard to have them test to let us know like if they could tell the difference or not. And our first group like sent me 6 jars like this as a thank you, freaking out like I don't know what you did, like how is this possible, freaking out. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with all this? This is gonna take me forever. And like 6-7 months later, like I mastered how to roll every single version of everything out there. And like what else do you do, like
Yeah, that's so awesome.
yeah. But yeah, man, I'm gonna I think I'm gonna jump off here in a minute. I'm gonna finish getting everything. Gotta spend some time with the fam before I go to Toronto, and I'm catching that the red eye, and then I'm flying into Detroit of all places. I've never been there, so
Nice. Okay.
yeah, man.
Very cool. Well, definitely, man. Thank you so much for the chat today, dude. Like both the earlier chat and this podcast, man. Super motivated, super hyped. I'm really excited for all these collaborative projects that are coming down the pipes.
Yeah.
And like within my own life. Oh, darn it, man. I wanted to tell you guys about my near-death experience in Hawaii. When you asked if I'd been to Hawaii, I like lit up. I was like, oh, let me tell you about Hawaii. Ever since then, there's been so many crazy, like synergistic and synchronistic things happening in my life that are pulling me towards this new I don't know what that is happening. And this is probably the biggest and most concrete first step of like actually actuating it and being on board, kind of publishing, so to speak, and that we're talking online, and this is going to be recorded and going out to the public.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really, really excited. I didn't drop too many teasers because it's that far out that I'm like, I don't even want to talk about it yet. I'm just gonna let it develop itself.
Yeah.
So hyped.
Well, and like I didn't want to say this on Artist First because I'm still on there, but I don't know if I'm gonna stay on them like past the year. If I do, I'm gonna see if I can get like a different time slot or something. Just because like I like the YouTube where it's more interactive.
Okay.
I mean, and so as that happens and as my traveling slows down, like I want to get into doing a show like maybe 2 to 3 a week, like just getting in, having different people on, and like just different lifestyle aspects, man. Like I feel there's so many different ways of doing it, and everyone's like trying to figure out like this is perfect and this is perfect, and instead of just going, well, this one's good for me and this one's good for me over here, everyone's trying to find this like totem pole of this is how you should look and perceive at everything, instead of just like going in and just finding the parts that work for you. And so until we keep talking like that, we're never gonna know. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah. So I think in shorter shows, so just more people are engaged and on longer. You know what I mean? Like 30-minute long shows maybe.
Yeah, because people, I think a lot of us have 30-minute attention spans.
Yeah. And that, I mean, that's okay.
Yeah, we could break it up into like more concentrated slices, you know?
Right. So yeah, but yeah, man, I'd love to have you back on again, man. And I'm sure everyone that's still with us on Facebook Live will be on the YouTube channel later. Like, I know they'll have you come back on. I've had a handful of people come on the show before, but yeah, man, we covered a large spectrum of a lot of different things that's all really exciting. You know?
Heck yeah. And there's some stuff we talked about earlier that I'd love to delve into a little further on future podcasts, but let that be like a topic oriented one. Man, it's like the way it plays into what we talked about already, into sacred healing practices and what the other things I'm doing with the studio, but I'm not sure how public that's going to be versus whether it's just going to be like a as requested kind of a thing.
Right.
So Yeah, I'm hyped. I'm so hyped.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be amazing. Like and that's the other thing also is like the fact that we can openly talk about it, like all these different things, like that's how you get other people talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I mean by like when I talk about stuff, I can talk about whatever I want to, and it's very one directed. But if there's not this back and forth engagement, then a lot of times other people don't start getting engaged either. So it's always easier to have people that are confident about what they're talking about, even if it's without I'm confident about what I don't know, but I'm confident to admit it and see what we can figure out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a conversation. It's not a profession. No, it's not the word. It's not a lecture. It's a conversation. I don't have to know everything about what I'm talking about. We're just talking about it. We're figuring it out while we talk, you know?
Yeah. I just think that's a better way for everybody to learn, man. And
absolutely.
And so that's why it's been fun doing this. But it's weird. Like I noticed at this last UFO expo I was at, because I always go with the full wizard, everything, everything.
Nice.
Sometimes I get the face paint, like whatever. And a lot of people get really excited about just someone trying to be the authentic self. But then they get kind of caught up in that, like, how'd you do this? And I'm just like, yo, you guys can do this whenever you want to. Like, I'm glad that you're excited about like me being me and everything, but like I'm doing this so it's okay. Like, not so you can come like listen to everything I've got to say. Like, I'm figuring this out too. Like, I found some stuff that makes me happy, makes me comfortable, but don't just like, so how'd you do this? Like, I can't explain to you how to see the color green. Right. I can hopefully offer some ways of appreciating it better and being more excited about it. But until you see it, I can't, like, it has to be something that's there for you already. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times people get caught up. Like, I'm sure even when you have new artists come along, like you said, you're learning from other people. These could be people that have a completely different style than you, but because you're having that humble search and thirst for knowledge, you're not coming at it with like, I want to be just like you when I grow up. You're coming at like, all right, how do these techniques work and how can I apply this to
how do they work for you?
Yeah. But I think a lot of times people come on like, I want to be just like them. And that doesn't work because we're also individual.
I don't know that I could. I don't know that I don't know how I do what I do.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could even teach that.
But yeah, so thank you, man. That's why I love having you come on the show, and this was really helpful for a lot of people, me as well. And so, man, thank you for just sharing the hour, a little bit more than that with me. And
heck yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Top of the conversation was fantastic.
Good to get these ideas flowing.
Yeah. So, man, I'm gonna jump over here. Thank you again for coming on. And guys, you can find him. Tell the social media again one more time. I'm gonna say it wrong.
Fine Art for Bodies.
Fine Art.
The word for, not the number.
Okay, all properly written out.
Yep.
Okay, awesome, man. So check him out and come back to orderofalchemy.org, Alchemy 101, and we'll have some more stuff for you guys real soon. I'll see you in Toronto. I love you guys. And hold on, I'm just gonna end this out, but then I think I will.
I'm like, I don't know how to hang up.
You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things. Like, I look at it and I'm all.
Where's that button? There we go. All right, I think